All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending. Some of you because you were told to, some of you because you wanted to, but we'll make it useful for everybody as best we can with our time together. So, and again, to respect our time together, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am recording this just so you know, in case you do have a question or a comment. If you're a shy person, you can put it in the chat. If you're a bold person, you can just ask outright. I do have a little time for built into the session for questions. I'm going to be adding in the chat section, uploading right now a student manual, which is a copy of all the slides that I'm going through, which has all the links and resources and tools and everything I'm talking about. So that if you do feel for a moment like you forgot to write something down or you didn't quite get there, it's going to be there for you in the book. So I do just want to, and predictably, it's realtor time. So after 10 o'clock is when the bulk of people start showing up for class. Anyways, so I just wanted to kind of set the table for this for a moment. Again, everybody taking this class knows me, so I'm not going to spend any time talking about too much about my story here. But some of you know, especially those who've been with the company for a while, I'm not much of a sleeper. I like working a lot. I love being productive and getting things done. But about 12 years ago or so, maybe a little longer than that now, 14 years ago or so, I had they called it a mild heart attack. I don't know about you, but when you're 35 years old, nothing seems very mild when the word heart attack is attached. But I thought that I was having just maybe some blood pressure issues because I had a little history of that. And I was walking up the back steps to go teach a class at the Realtor Association, which is who I'm blaming for all of this. And stopped after 3 days of having a little mild chest discomfort, had a hard time breathing, catching my breath, some pain radiating all over the place and getting way more intense. And having been a paramedic for years before I got into real estate, said, this isn't good. So being a good paramedic, I knew, you need to go not to the hospital, because Mary Murder, Washington was not going to be the place to be. So I went to my local doctor's office, who was a friend, and walked in the door and said, I'm not feeling well. He goes, hey, you don't look well. I joked about something. He said, lay down on the table. He came back 5 minutes later with EKG and 2 nurses starting IVs and putting oxygen on. And honestly, I have nothing but myself to blame, between no diet, no decent diet, no exercise, but also not managing stress. At that particular time, as many of you may remember, we were in the midst of a housing crisis, and I was in the midst of working several different angles and trying to get things done and not sleeping and trying to work 3 jobs at the same time, and teaching. And I just started working. The association was trying to shut down some of the real estate stuff. And it kind of gave me a different view of what I needed to do. And it's now taken about 10 years to get a good system in place of things and kind of weeding out the nonsense from the things that are necessary. And I still don't do a great job with it, but I wanted to take the experience over the past 10 years of focusing on being productive and having the right tools and systems in place, so that we can get a better work-life balance as agents and as staff. As all of you know, you are trusted and entrusted by your clients, by staff members, by your employers, depending on what role you have within the firm, to handle a lot. We all are. This is the day and age we live in. And sometimes it feels like we just don't have enough time. And a matter of fact, far too often when I come back to a staff member or an agent and go, how come you didn't do this? Or why is this late? Well, I didn't have enough time. We all get the same amount of time. And there are some people who are far more productive with it than others. Very often it's a mindset or a skill set that people have, but none of it is ever something you're born with. Natalie did not just get born with the ability to manage a calendar, and Anita did not just get born with the ability to fix a problem. These are things that we learn, and then we invested in doing better as we go along. And so I hear all the time, well, I'm not very tech savvy. Well, no one was born knowing how to build a website or how to use a mobile device. Those are things we invested ourselves in to learn and to do. So for right now, I want you to spend a couple minutes investing in focusing on this, not on email, not on text, be here, be in the moment now, as we talk about some ways where you as a business professional, either as staff or as an agent, and some of you both, can focus on being business minded, how you would run your organization, even if your organization is only you. If you're the CEO or CMO of yourself, what would you do differently for the salary you're worth or how you get paid, to eliminate excuses, to focus better on what you're going to do. And as we go through this, I want to give you one illustration and then we'll get into the material. Back in the mid 90s or so, I was working for a friend doing IT, and he had a very cool day timer system. This is before we had gadgets. And he had this very cool day timer system that I noticed he had a system in place, and he would flip back and forth and he never forgot anything and everything made sense. And his calendar was always set. And he was very, very militant about it. And I'm like, I want that book. I honestly didn't know what it did. It just looked super cool. And I really wanted that leather bound book. And he says, well, that's fine, but it's $300. Well, for somebody who was, newly married and just kind of starting in the career field, I didn't have $300 to buy a book. That was ridiculous. He goes, I'll do it for you. I'll buy it for you if you listen to this training series about how to use it. I was like, I like training series. And back then I was driving all over the place, going and doing client site visits to fix computers and stuff, especially big project in Richmond. So a lot of time driving between Richmond and Fredericksburg. And he handed me this big book of cassettes. It was 16 hours of life management training by a guy named Hiram Smith. Now, how many of you know Steve Covey? You've read Steve Covey's book, 7 Habits? I remember 7 Habits. That's one of his first kind of breakout books. Before he wrote 7 Habits, he did a lecture circuit and he would go to big companies. Actually, what was recorded was IBM. He taught a class at IBM. Steve Covey and Hiram Smith were partners that would do these trainings. And Hiram Smith, again, I got a lot out of those cassettes. I don't know that I applied everything, but I got a lot out of the mindset of time management and being productive. And there's 2 points I took away from him. One, I don't want to waste any moments of my life on anything. Now, not wasting moments means sometimes being on vacation, and that's a useful thing for some people. I don't understand vacation, but I'm sure somebody here does. But the big thing was that time usage is up to us. We get to set the priority. And Hiram Smith, I'm stealing this illustration for him, at the time gave the illustration of the Twin Towers. Again, it's the 90s, it's still there. And he said, you look at the Twin Towers and there is a 6-inch plank between the 2 towers and there's 60 to 65 mile an hour wind. And on the other side of that, there is a person holding a $100 bill. And he asks, how many of us would walk that plank that high up with 60 mile an hour winds to get that $100 bill? And no reasonable person is going to do that, right? No one is going to go, because we go and say $100 is not worth risking our lives. It is not worth the thought of even standing on that board and trying to figure out how to get across. We're not going to do it for $100. It's just not worth it. What if that same person, though, was holding a child on the other side, and the only way to save that child's life was for you to cross the plank? How many of you would cross the same plank? It's the exact same plank. It's the same building. It's the same height. It's the same wind velocity. We prioritized. I think most people would say, I'm going to do whatever I can to save that child, even at my own peril or risk. This is how your calendar works. It may not be as dire as saving a child's life or as minor as getting a $100 bill at the risk of your own life. But you make choices every day about what you do with your time and how you run your business and who you want to be as you move forward. This session is giving you some ideas of how, and some things that have worked for me and some things that I'm still working on, how to be better focused to be the person you want to be, to not be running scattered, to not neglect your family or the time you should be spending, especially if they're little, to be able to do some things that you want to do and set aside some time for yourself, but also how to better manage your day and time to get things done that need to be done without scurrying about. And I'm going to ask you to be open-minded as we go through this, because some of these disciplines are very different than how you're running your life now. And I'm going to steal again another thing from somebody else. Thomas Edison, I think, put this best: being busy does not always mean real work. This is a trap I see every real estate agent get into. Thomas Edison didn't say that. I'm interjecting in case you weren't clear. Agents are running around all the time going, oh my God, I'm so busy. I got to show all these properties. I got these clients coming in. I can't take this class. I can't do my marketing. I can't work on my business plan because I got clients coming in and the market's crazy and busy right now. Busy is always real work. It's always productive. It's not taking time over the weekend to attend your kids' baseball game at the end of the season. And maybe you don't make all of them, but this one was important. Or being at the game, but not watching or paying attention. And believe me, your kids are noticing because you're looking at your phone the whole time, is because you have prioritized that email or that text or Reddit or Facebook over the child. The child will figure that out, or a spouse or significant other, or clients. If you're with clients and you're looking at your phone the whole time because the next deal is coming in, or, oh my God, there's this home inspection. I've never understood. I hear this all the time as an instructor. Yeah, I signed up for your class, but I'm having a problem with a home inspection. If it takes you 8 hours to resolve a home inspection issue, we got bigger problems. Because if you had a dinner you had to go to with a family member that was important, you would put aside the home inspection for that. So what you're basically saying is that thing that I scheduled, the commitment I made to attend a meeting, to go to training, to take a vacation, that thing isn't as important as this thing. The clients that I'm with right now aren't as important as the clients that I may be with this weekend when you're looking at your phone and with clients, or at your kid's event and looking at your phone for that next text or email. You're saying whatever I'm doing right now is more important than the other thing I need to do. And it's not always real work. The object of all work is production or accomplishment, and to either of those ends, there must be forethought, systems, planning, intelligence, and honest purpose, as well as perspiration. Seeming to do is not doing. Working hard, you've heard the work, all the adages, but working hard is a big part of it. But where you apply that work is important. If you're waking up at 3 a.m. because you forgot deadlines and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get this done and I forgot this, and shoot, I forgot to order X, Y, or Z, and I'll give you some help for that in a minute, then you're working hard, but in the wrong direction. And you're not building time to have a good work-life balance. So we're going to start with some concepts and then we'll get into some tools. The first fallacy is that multitasking is just is useful, that we're multitaskers. Believe me, I said this forever. And I got to tell you, after reading up on this and studying it and then changing some personal practices, we are not good multitaskers. How many of you talk on the phone while you're driving? Of course, hands-free, right? You do it hands-free because that's the law. You talk on the phone while you're driving, you are only giving 34% of your attention to the act of driving a vehicle. That vehicle, and again, having been a paramedic for almost a decade, well, for a decade, that vehicle is a weapon. It will kill people if you're not paying attention. So you're giving 1/3 of your attention to driving because you're giving the other 60% to whoever you're talking to. How many of you talk to somebody when they're clearly, like, they're shopping and they're clearly going, uh-huh, mm-hmm, yeah, mm-hmm, and you know they're not paying attention because they're trying to find the size pants that don't exist. Let me just tell you, as someone who has just changed 3 different size pants in a year, I'm still pissed off they don't have my size ever. I don't even know what I need to do now to fit into that. If I go to H&M and I lose 20 years and another 30 pounds, maybe they'll have my size. It's frustrating, I get it. So be there and do the shopping. It'll cut your shopping in half if you're not talking on the phone, and give that person more attention when you call later. There's very little right now that won't give you another few minutes. In other words, if I'm taking 20 minutes to go shopping, that person who need to talk to me could probably wait another 20 minutes for me to call them. They'd rather have all my attention. And the phone call takes less time and the shopping takes less time, or the driving needs to be the focus. How we start our mornings matter. Here's a big thing for me. I had to stop checking social media in the morning. I got lost in it. Like, honestly, would get up, I'd hit Twitter, that would be 40 minutes gone. And I'm thinking all the things I could have done on those 40 minutes, and there was no value of spending 40 minutes on that. So I now have, and I'll show you later, some budgeted time for most of those things. At night before I go to bed, I do scroll through there. And even that I've started to significantly back off of, because my brain's working when I'm scrolling through Reddit and I'm reading a post, especially if it's a political article or a, or a statistic or something that I thought about. Unless it's funny, I'm all about the funny. That'll put me to sleep quick. But stop checking social media, email, or text in the morning. So not just social media, email, text. When you get up in the morning, be in that moment. Go do something thoughtful, go do something meaningful, go do the workout you need to do, make that coffee, whatever your process is. Healthy breakfast reduces anxiety. Again, I'm going to be someone who wasn't a big breakfast eater or ate junk in the car on the way to the office. This year, especially, I've been more focused on what's healthy and what's not. And it is amazing how it has changed my focus, reduced my hangry throughout the morning. Positive comments set positive days. And so I was getting in this trap of reading the New York Times in the morning or looking and scrolling through, as I said, social media or Facebook. And it was amazing how, I thought it didn't, but it was amazing how much of a negative impact those comments or that news first thing in the morning was having on the rest of my day. Everything resets to neutral space the night before. This is one I've actually had since I was a kid. This one has always been with me. It's a strong one. So when I leave this office to go get done with work at night, to go watch a movie with my daughter or to go to bed or whatever, everything is where it needs to be. So the next morning when I walk in, there are no stacks of paper. I don't have to look for anything. It's in the same place every single night. So every single morning I start the same. My office downtown is when I leave for the day, everything is set in the right order, in the right place, so that I can come in the next morning, I feel refreshed. It's like making your bed for me. I don't know about you, but if you come home and the bed's unmade, it just absolutely, like, I get this nervous tick about it. I can't handle the disorganization, the clutter. I have to make the bed. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens. Everything is reset to a neutral space, and then you plan your day the night before. So I sit down before I go to bed and say, okay, tomorrow, these are the three things. These are my highlights. This is what I have to get done tomorrow. These are the things that are more tertiary or secondary I need to get done. And then I can move forward. And so those morning matters work. Getting up to a healthy refresh, a very organized list and structure is good. So many agents and staff wake up to piles. You get up and you have stacked these paper files on your desk, and you flip through them and go, okay, did I order termite? Did I order inspection? Did I process? Did I add it to DTR? Did I order whatever I need to order? Did I get the office supplies for the office? For brokers, did I do my recruiting stuff? It's who's needing to be called now. You got to have everything fresh and ready to go the next morning for yourself to have a clear mind about it. Your brain is for having ideas and not holding them. Your brain is working at night. If you ever had a sleepless night and you didn't know why, it's because your subconscious is working on a problem, a thought process, a task, or something you needed to do that you may not even remember what it is. It's trying to keep and hold that. Our storage, or what we would call RAM for those who are geeks and know computers, that temporary storage is constantly processing in the back of our head until it's being called back for. But something triggering what, like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot to order that termite or well and septic or send over that addendum. And it's processing, which means your mind, if you've ever had a laptop sitting in your lap and it's just warm, right? It's hot and it's whirring and making all these noises. It's trying to store temporary memory. Our brains were not designed for that. Our brains were designed to organize and be creative, not to remember details. And so when you have an idea, you need to have a place to offload it. And we're going to talk about some tools to help you offload those ideas and thoughts so you can get better sleep, so you can focus on the one task and not worry about remembering while your brain's churning about the next task you need to do. So a good book, I've got tons of good books on productivity, and I can share, actually, I will share a link to my reading list in just a minute. A really good book is called Getting Things Done. And I say it's really good, and I do kind of always smirk when I say that, because he is also very analog. So I've had to add some tools to actually make his systems work. When I say analog, like he'll say he hasn't found a real system other than Notion that kind of does all the stuff he wants. So a lot of it is practices, not tools. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the highlights from that. I'm also going to share a link where you can order the book if you want to get it. Getting Things Done focuses on 5 steps for every task. It's a routine you get into. So one is we capture or we collect what we need to do. So if I know that I have a file, Janelle just got a file that got ratified, she knows it's got to go to DTR. It needs to make sure that the client gets a copy of it. It needs to be shared on, and the client needs to be shared for it. There's all these processes that need to be done. So she's collecting. These are all the things I need to do today. I need to order termite. I need to order well septic. I need to call Robin and let her know whatever needs to be done with this. And then we're going to clarify a process and go, okay, of the things that I know, all these things need to be done today. Now I'm going to clarify which ones are priorities, which ones need to get done this morning, which ones have to get done before 1 o'clock, whatever needs to happen. And then I'm going to organize those things as the third step into starting right now. This is the thing I need to do. And then I'm going to look at my plan and go, is that a good plan? I'm going to marry myself to the plan. So a lot of people just put to-do stuff on a list and it's not prioritized. They go, okay, I gotta get that stuff. And then there's always this few seconds of extra brain effort taking into reorganizing all day long, as opposed to organizing it at the beginning of the day. So we reflect on that plan, we marry that plan, we go, that's us today. And then we go and do those things and we do them in those orders. Now I understand that you get interrupted 6,000 times a day. There are some things in your to-do list that it takes less time to do than it does to add to a list to organize and go through that process. So if it takes less than 2 minutes to do that thing, just do that thing. So for example, if Gladys is waiting for an addendum from me, I'm not going to write down, send addendum to Gladys, and then go through the 5 steps to process it and create my to-do list. I'm just going to sit the email and go, I'm just going to send this to Gladys and now it's just done for the day. Now, some of you love that checkoff list, right? You love writing stuff down and putting a line through it or clicking it off on your to-do app or whatever it is. And if you do that, that's fine. You can do that. Just don't make it part of the process of designing your day. So if it takes less than 2 minutes, just do it. Mise en place is actually a kitchen phrase, but I'm going to apply it to what we're doing here. And that is the concept that everything is in its place. Where are my cooks? How many of you here do cooking? How many of you get more than a little irritated when you're in the middle of preparing something and you go to reach for that item or tool you need and it's not there? Because somebody else in the house put it in the wrong place or decided there's a better place for this. No, that'll get somebody killed in my house. If I have to look for something in the middle of doing something, it breaks my concentration and focus. You're going to be the same way. Your book bag, your purse should be, or I'm sorry, I'm just laughing as I'm talking about briefcase, book bags, and purses. I've seen some of y'all's purses and book bags and briefcase. It's just like a garbage bag that's really expensive. Like you just thrown all that crap in there. But being able, I also laugh when, especially females are like, well, I carry a firearm. How do you find it? You can't find the lipstick in your bag. How are you? Anyways, if you had an emergency, I just don't know. So mise en place is the concept of everything needs to be in its place. And as I said, I have the same place for my pens. My coffee cup goes in the same place. My desk is laid out in the right place. My desk drawers are organized. So I know exactly where that favorite ink pen is or pencil, or I know where the apps are. How many of you have just like a bunch of apps on your phone? Mine are organized in priority of usage and how often I use them. So I have to reduce the time flipping back and forth, but also because I know exactly where they are. Have you ever changed like the app location of an app on your phone? Like your camera app's in a different place and you gotta take a picture and now you're opening up, I don't know what you're opening up, your browser because you moved it, because our minds build memory as to where things are and it makes us more efficient. So again, when you're resetting your office space or your workspace at home, your files in DTR or wherever, everything needs to be in order and place so your mind knows just to go to it. And then 7 principles. First of all, is a disciplined life. If you want the most out of what time you're going to get and to reduce the extra wasted time during the day, you got to be disciplined with this. And that's got to be a decision you make. You got to wake up this morning and go, am I a business person or am I just hired help? Because a business person is going to have organization, they're going to have structure, they're going to want to get the most out of their day because each of those moments or hours you're using costs you something. So let me put it into real concept here. So let's say that you're worth $100,000 a year. You're working roughly 40, 50 hours in this. That means you're worth 40 to 50,000 or $40 to $50 per hour. $40 to $50 per hour. It took you 15 minutes to find that file you misplaced because you know where everything is in your office. That just cost you $15. I don't know about you, but that's one nice cup of coffee at Starbucks. I'd rather have the cup of coffee at Starbucks than waste the 15 minutes looking for, and okay, some of you that's a nice cup of coffee at Starbucks, some of you that's like a whole meal. So whatever your priority is, every 15 minutes is costing you $15 to $20. How many of those $15 to $20 do you want to just throw out the window because you aren't organized, because you didn't put things where they belong? There's a cost to being disorganized and not being disciplined. Paperless practices makes you organized. It also saves everybody a lot of time. If Deb calls me about a transaction problem, she wouldn't call me about transaction problems. If I call Deb about a transaction problem and she goes, well, what does your contract say? And I go, hold on, let me find it so I can tell you. We are wasting both of our time. And if both of us are worth $20 every 15 minutes, and it's taking me 15 minutes to find this, get back to her, I'll call you back. We just wasted $50 of our time, as opposed to saying it's in DTR, here's the address, where Deb can just pull up her phone or her laptop and pull up that file and go look at it, know exactly where it is. So your time has a expense attached to it. That's what a business person would consider when they're looking at time management and in being disciplined. Paperless practices reduce wasted time. Being able to scan things and have things on our phone or computer, be able to look up things, not having to wait till I get back to the office to pull that up, have value. And I'm not talking about just about contracts. I'm talking about your checklists and your other tasks in your notebook. Now, some of you actually have very efficient notebook systems. You have day runners and day timers, and you're good with that calendar, moving it back and forth. And so long as it's nearby and in your hand, you're set. But God forbid if I ask you to come do a listing appointment on Thursday and you're driving and you can't get to that book, what are you going to do? Right? And we're going to talk about some tools to help you with that. And then have focused effort. This was a big one for me. Like, I thought I could watch TV and work on creative stuff or answer emails. You know what I found out is I absolutely can, because I kept getting distracted by what the TV was doing. And an email that should have taken me 10 minutes to write took me 30 minutes to formulate, because I'm paying attention to whatever shoot 'em up show that may be watching, or drama or documentary, or getting ticked off at something, I just watched. And it was distracting me from focus work, as opposed to just getting the work done and then going, I'm going to carve out 30 minutes to watch that documentary, or 1 hour to watch that, or 2 hours to watch a movie once a week, whatever it is. So focused effort is going to be very important to get that thing done. Focused effort means turning off all the little red dots. Another big help for me was I turned off notifications that pop up on my screen all over the place, or on my phone. Because how many of you look at your phone and you see that little red circle next to a text message, or next to an email, or your watch is dinging every 5 seconds if you have an Apple Watch? And the thought of looking at that, and now you're focused on that and you're breaking focus from what you're doing, is constantly breaking the quality of work you could have gotten done in a much shorter period of time, because we're chasing red dots and alerts all over the place. The next one is demanding more of others. Some of you have no problem. Latana has no problem demanding more about them. I'm just kidding. The concept of demanding has a negative connotation, but it shouldn't. For example, the termite company I use specifically because they've been reliable. But my secondary reason is they let me order it by their website. At 11:30 at night, I can order termite. So if it's not them, and the company that I used to use, where you had to call in the hours, there was a bunch of problems. One, they frequently lost the order that I was calling in. Second of all, I had to do it on their time. They were making me work on their schedule instead of them working on mine, yet I'm the person referring business to them. Home inspector is the same way. I should be able to email the home inspector with a list of options and then get back to me. I don't need to call them on the phone or wait till them flip through stuff and get stuff back to me. So whatever vendors I'm using should be working on my schedule, should be flexible enough to me and my clients that I'm not spending time chasing them down. They should, if I'm using a settlement company, they should use DTR and go get the files themselves. I shouldn't have to upload the file to DTR and also email it to them every time. Does that make sense to everybody? That's being more demanding on the vendors that we're using. And I hear a lot from them, yeah, but they do such good work and they're so cheap. But they're not cheap for you if you're having to spend 3 times more effort to hunt them down. If it takes you 2 hours a week to deal with the home inspector and get on his schedule, you just gave him $100 of your time or more, depending on how productive you are. So using the right partners are important. This also goes down, or applies rather, for you guys using the transaction coordinator. You think, well, the $220 is coming out of the commission, but if that transaction coordinator is saving you 6 hours of paper jockeying and organizing, you do all the rest, what could you do with that 6 hours to either enjoy more of your life, go find more clients, go engage more business? This is the same thing with referrals or relocation files. Yeah, but it's a 40% referral. You did not have to spend all the time and effort to go generate that lead, to go hunt them down, to do the social media page, to do the marketing stuff. For someone you wouldn't have reached anyways because they weren't in your sphere, it's not a 40% referral just to give up money. It's 40% of the time you were saving to go find other clients, to do other business where somebody else was spending their time and money and effort to create that opportunity. These partnerships that you have available to you or to get you more organized and to be able to run a better business with better partners. And then lastly, be realistic. Who are you really? How much can you really complete during the day? You are not going to be able to show 16 houses that day. Maybe some of you who have been doing this for a long time could. I can't. And so I tell my clients, you get 8 houses a day. That's how much time I have for you. That's how many you can see realistically. And for me, I also tell my buyer clients, maybe this is why I don't work with a lot of buyers, but this is what I tell them is every 15 minutes you're late is another house I have to take off the list because this is how much time you have. Like I can't schedule showings every 15 minutes when they're all across the county. So you got to be realistic with what you can get done in your time and not over compete. Don't tell your kid that you're going to be at their event at 6 o'clock when you know you have a showing at 5:30 in Prince William and their event is in the city of Fredericksburg. That causes undue stress and unreasonable expectations for everybody. So be realistic about your time and delegate what you can, we talked about. So let's talk about managing time now. First of all, it's your calendar. You need to own it. I don't know about you. I do get irritated when somebody sends me a calendar event I wasn't expecting. I hate that. There was a broker here locally who apparently did not do the background check, but this broker sent to me a calendar invite for a Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock for a recruiting appointment. Had no idea we had a meeting, had no idea that I was even wanted. I'm just so honored that this person who doesn't even know what I do for a living wants me. I don't know how many of you are getting the late night voicemail messages from the Debbie Reynolds team asking you to come join her company. Like people were posting, I think Angel shared yesterday a screenshot of somebody who said that she got the call at 11:30. Some other people here said they got it at 9. I got mine at 10 o'clock at night because nothing says I want you like a blanket voicemail throughout the entire association at 10:30 at night that's pre-recorded. It's quality recruiting right there. Anyways, that calendar is my life. That's what I go by. And so I'm going to be able to control what goes on there. Nobody else gets to dictate what's on there or when I have to do things. I get to say yes or no. I have that right every time. And from time to time, it might even cost you a client. But what is the cost of your own mental well-being or quality to the clients you currently have by taking on one too many people? You just can't do that unless you have the right systems, unless you have the delegation skills, unless you've had the right vendors in place. Not having the right vendors, not using transaction coordination, not being organized costs you the ability to work with more clients because you only have so much time in the day. So the client is the calendar is yours. I'm a big fan of time blocking. I'm going to show you an example here of time blocking. This is my calendar for this week. Now understand that some of those things got moved. Recruiting appointments that came in and said, can we meet? And I went and looked and said, okay, my inbox management time can be dismissed. I don't need to be in my account on my email for an hour that day. I can move that around. Or somebody picks up the phone and call and I go, I'm at a good point in the project that I'm working on right now. I can go ahead and take that appointment and move some things around. But at the beginning of the week, my mise en place is that I have my calendar organized where I don't have but a little open time here because I can move these things that aren't important. So for example, you notice that at the beginning of my day, and I usually get up a little earlier than this, but at last worst case scenario, 7 o'clock, 3 times a week, I'm doing some sort of working out. Now, in that workout time, that 7 to 8 o'clock, I'm not working out for an hour because working out sucks, guys. It is the absolute worst ever. So I'm going to get 30 minutes of quality workout and then an hour of chilling out, making a smoothie, and taking a shower, right? That hour is for that process. And then at 8 o'clock, I need to be at my desk to set my day. Now, the previous night, I have laid out what needs to be done. I know what my highlight is, like the one big thing I have to accomplish today. But at 8 o'clock, I'm going to sit, and that's when I organize the day's tasks and what's important and how I'm going to get to that highlight, that most important task that day, and everything else. And then I got a couple minutes to go make some breakfast to get something together. Now, of course, this week is good, was a good example, which is why this is a screenshot and not last week, which was a hot freaking mess. Like I had appointments all over the place. It was crazy. This is what a normal week looks like the week before. And I just duplicate this pattern. And so then I look and go, okay, I've got my 8 o'clock time on Saturday morning from 6 to 9. I'm going fishing. I need to find a partner to go with, or just go by myself, because that's good reflection time, listen to some music, and just, in my case, fishing is really all about just feeding the fish. I just keep throwing bait at them and they get bigger. And one day I might catch one. That's fishing. On every Monday from 9 to about 11 is dealing with weekend issues. So in my email box, I have a folder that's marked Monday. And so if it's a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday event in my inbox that you send me, and it's not something that has to be done that weekend, I move it to the Monday box. And Monday from 9 to 11 is my time to work on it. If it doesn't take me a full hour or 2 hours, and normally it doesn't, then I can shorten that time and work on something else that created more free time for me. But at least I know I have time to work on that. So I'm not as stressed out on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon when somebody sends me something and going, man, I don't know when I'm going to get to that email. I know when I'm going to get to it. It's blocked out for me. And then 11 o'clock is handwritten notes to whomever I'm sending here. I try to do 5 handwritten notes a week. And then I have lunch blocked out because I'm going to eat. Like somebody yesterday emailed me, said, do you have some lunch opportunities open? I'm like, oh, we got lunch. We can do that. And then task batching. So task batching is literally just all the small little things that need to be done. And I've squared away time a couple times a week to do those. Task batching is when I have just collected my to-dos that are minor issues. Ordering the well and termite, as long as I'm, have time to do that. Getting those little things done that need to be done. Making a phone call for a doctor's appointment or whatever. And then you can see here on Monday, I had a 2 o'clock appointment with Updater. And then 2 to 4 that day is inbox management. That's when I go to my email, make sure that I've answered all the emails that are important, deleted all the emails that weren't. We'll talk about email stuff in a bit. And then I've got this break from 4 to 5. Usually that's time leaving the office and coming home, or just breathing, or putting in fitting in an appointment if I can. Then there's dinner time. And then there's, for me, each of those red things are a home type thing. So that is time to study for school or do schoolwork. And again, if I'm really good that night, I get it in early. I got free time and I can work on something else or not work on anything at all. And then I got focused work for creative stuff, doing videos or working on my website or whatever I'm doing as a project that day. And then after that is recreational time where I can watch a movie, I can read a book. For me, very often it's watching YouTube videos or working on social media follow-up or something. And all these things are modified, right? Except for the hard schedule stuff, all these things are modified. And even having open time during the week and saying, okay, I have open meeting, I have time blocked 1 to 3 on this particular week on Tuesday, so that I know that if Jerry calls me and she says, hey, I need to chat with you about something, I can go, great, I've got 1 or 2 o'clock appointments for a 1 hour meeting on Tuesday. Now, again, if it's urgent, I can look and go, okay, I've also got 11 o'clock on Wednesday. I've got other time here. I can move things and shorten them. Here's the deal. If I look on Friday and I have scheduled 3 to 4 for inbox management, and Dreary needs to ask, needs to ask me, sorry, Dreary, rainy day, I don't know, sorry. Drury asked me to meet. She said, I only have Friday. Well, I'm going to say, okay, let's do let's do 4 o'clock on Friday. Inbox management now gets shifted down to my nonprofit time for my work on my board work, my volunteer work, because I got to get that done. I need some time to manage it, and I need to find somewhere else to put that thing so that I can get it done. So this is not, some people get stressed out when they look at time blocking and go, oh my God, every minute of your day is scheduled. Yes, because if I don't, some of these things won't get done. I won't know in my mind when to get them done. And then I'm trying to fit stuff in and I don't get quality work out of it. So this is an example of what the beginning of every week looks like. If you look, this is also on Google Calendars, I forgot to mention. If you look at the very top where you see the red and it says on Monday, water the plants, that is actually from an app called Todoist I'll talk about in a minute, where I have action items in Todoist that I can send over. I'm sorry, I can put on Todoist to do, and it adds it to my Google Calendar. So I know what those collectible items are to finish every day. So that's time blocking. Within the time blocking, there's another layer of focus. So let's say that I have asked that, well, we'll use Angel. She does a lot of creative work. So Angel needs to find time to do a creative piece for whatever she's doing. So it's a social media post she's creating or whatever it is. If she is trying to focus on that creative piece and also getting texts and emails and phone calls from everybody else, we're not going to get the highest quality work. Jay's a good example. Let's say he's working on the company website and he knows he's got this whole page to refinish. Our minds only have the elasticity, even as smart and clever as Jay is, to do quality focused work for a shorter period of time. And the math has kind of worked itself out. There's been lots of studies in these things. And years ago, a gentleman called up or figured out what he called the Pomodoro technique. Now, I'm not Italian, but I'm told Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. He had a tomato timer, 25-minute timer, 30-minute timer on his desk. And they worked out all this math and all this science to figure out that we do our best work when our brain is working on a focused singular topic for 25 minutes. Then we take a 5-minute break and then another 25 minutes. So you're getting, so you're getting an hour's worth of work, but you're taking a 5-minute break every 25 minutes, another 5 minutes work, a 5-minute break. Every 2 hours, you must stop for 30 minutes because your brain is not going to give quality work. You're going to get frustrated or unfocused. I don't know about everybody else, but I have had many problems that at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm trying to fix something. Frustrated, I finally just go to bed. And then I wake up at 6:30 next morning and go, well, crap, that's the answer, and literally fix it like that. Because our brains only have so much power and juice to run through a day. So within that time block, if I time block 2 hours to work on getting my website up and running, to get my CMA or CRM rather up and running or updated or answering whatever tasks the CRM has given me, I'm going to work for 25 minutes. I'm going to get up for 5 minutes. I'm going to get coffee, walk around the room, check and respond to text messages in those 5 minutes, sit back down and work. At the end of that 2-hour process, I have to get up for 30 minutes and go do something else. Right? Again, this is your long walk around the backyard. I do a lot of walking around the backyard when those time blocks. Following up on a phone call if you can, except for, by the way, if Kevin calls you and says, do you have a minute? That's the whole Pomodoro right there. That's an hour-long conversation and you're not going to get a 5-minute break. So again, that 30-minute break when I can is when I return the phone call and I plan to walk around the yard to get some fresh air, to get my body moving a little bit and maybe take that phone call there. Typically want a real break there. Pomofocus.com or .io rather is a free website you can use on your computer. There are also free apps you can download on your phone to set those timers for you. I use these a lot throughout the day. The unfortunate reality is I'm not a master of some of this stuff. So I still do get distracted from time to time about text messages, and I'm good at kind of prioritizing, who I'm responding to and what needs to be done. The next tool we're going to talk about is Calendly. So Calendly, many of you have probably used or been asked to use this. This is free for what most of you will be using is free. There are some upgraded features and it's very inexpensive if you decide to upgrade. So let's say that Eric and I need to meet. And so Eric calls me and says, hey, I'd like to get an hour of your time. I want to focus on this new marketing campaign I'm doing. I'm going to send to Eric a Calendly link, which is tied to my Google Calendar. And it lets him choose what time he wants to meet, so that I'm not going, well, I've got Friday from 1 to 4 and I got all this. It's whatever's available on my calendar, I can set it up to make available to him. When my buyer says, can we see properties on Saturday? I could say, yes, you want to see 2 properties. That's going to take us about an hour and a half. And I'm going to go to Calendly and go give them 90-minute blocks on my calendar, and they can sign up for it. And so I send them a link. It takes 2 seconds. I send them a link. They go on and say, I want 3 o'clock on Saturday. It automatically adds that to your calendar. It also automatically adds it to their calendar. And it sends both you and the person who signed up for that time reminders for the meeting. Now, if you're doing Zoom, it'll tie into your Zoom and send them the Zoom link and send you a Zoom link, and you don't have to spend the extra time creating all those things. So Calendly is very good for saying, here's my calendar. You pick a time and date on it of what I've made available to you, and then we'll go do what we're going to go do. And there's settings on there to make it very useful for you. Don't freak out. They're not going to be signing up for 10 o'clock on Sunday, because you can set all that up to make sure it's time blocked. The next tool is called Doodle. Doodle is very similar to Calendly, except for it's for group meetings. So let's say that my buyers and the home inspector, the listing agent, and myself as the buyer's agent, all are trying to get a home inspection on the books. I can say, here's what we have available. We need 3 hours to do the home inspection, and these are the time slots that are available, and everybody gets the vote, and whichever time slot or slots gets the most votes wins. And then you're able to go, okay, the home inspector was essential and the buyers were essential, and the listing agent just wanted to know when we're going to get there, but they may have times that it's just not available to them. And instead of you chasing everybody down and making 10 texts or phone calls and emails and spending that time, you just send a link and go, here are the times that are available in the next 7 days for my home inspection period. It's going to be a 3-hour meeting. Everybody gets the vote on what's available to them, and the biggest vote wins. And now you hit another button and it puts it on everybody's calendar and sends them reminders and does all that stuff automatically, so you're not having to remind everybody to show up for their home inspection. This is also particularly good for those of your brokers or staff to do this with your small group coaching sessions, where you need to get a bunch of people on the calendar to do something. The next thing under time management and calendar management is called Toggle. This is not, don't freak out, this is not something, it's a long-term recommendation. For a period of 60 days though, you can use Toggle, it's free, and you can track what you're doing with your time. I can tell you that it is very, for me personally, it was incredibly eye-opening and drastically changed 2 or 3 things about how I manage my time when I realized how much time I was spending on email alone. But Toggle allows you, again, it works on your desktop. Everything I've got here is cross-platform, by the way. It's Android because, ew, but some of you have it, or iPhone. Jay's a winner now. He's an iPhone person. Whether it's iPhone or Android, whether it's Windows or Mac, it'll work on all those platforms and allows you to quickly go, I'm starting this project now. I'm going to be answering emails now. I'm going to be doing a CMA now. I'm going to be driving to an appointment now. And you just track your time and just do it for 60 days. 1 month isn't enough, because sometimes we have the crazy 1 month and the other one. And it'll start running reports for you, again, for free, to tell you where you're getting what I call your time leakage. Like, how much time am I really spending on this? And what I like about it is if I say that I'm answering emails and I'm on my computer and I'm answering emails, it'll notice that I've shut down Gmail or Outlook or whatever I'm using and go, hey, are you still checking emails? Because it's just checking to make sure you're still doing the thing you said you were going to do. And no one has to look at your reports. That's just between you and the reporting system. But it starts to show you how much time you're really spending on emails or on web page design or in CMA stuff, or wasting time watching TV. And not all TV watching is a waste of time. I love a good movie or a good show. But I'll tell you, the trap I got into was my brain started saying, I need to watch something. And how many of you have watched like a crappy show because it's on? I'm horrible for that. Like I watched 4 seasons of something and going, that was just the biggest waste of time for 4 seasons. And when you realize 4 seasons, an average of 20 episodes, an hour long per episode, how many of those hours of your life are you never going to get back on something that wasn't good quality or worth watching? Now, documentaries, even a crappy documentary, is worth watching. You'll learn something from it. But so much time is wasted on garbage TV. that I started that Toggle really introduced me to that concept. And I realized I couldn't do quality work and watch TV. So it was a good accountability and time tracking system for a while. And then our email, which is another big time waster for a lot of people. A couple of things about inbox zero. And so I know I always get these doubters in the room. So I'm going to show you my email. This is my email. And I've got a notification from that Vera has uploaded a transaction. Well, I registered it and I can delete that. And Inman, oh my God, Inman is so email happy. But I look at it and go, okay, this doesn't really apply to me, and I'm just going to delete it. And I'm back to email zero. Look how refreshing and nice that is. It's so clean, it's so happy. But also notice over here, I got 1,000 different folders lined up for everybody. So I can manage those emails and not miss anything that needs to be in there. And I also unsubscribe from stuff all the time. If I didn't sign up for it, I'm going to unsubscribe from it. I'm not going to let it just linger in there. I'm not just going to hit delete. I'm not going to jump out. I'm going to unsubscribe so they don't send it to me anymore. I don't need the coupons. I don't need the alerts. I don't need to know what Best Buy's sale is this week, because if I want it, I'm not going to wait for a sale. I'm just going to go get it, like most human beings. So every one of those emails is not a to-do list. It is a triage. Now, again, going back to my fire rescue days when I was a triage officer and an instructor, we would constantly say, if you get to a scene and there's any more than 2 patients, you're activating triage. You're figuring out which one's worse and which one needs immediate assistance, which one can be delayed. But you don't walk by and just walk around randomly finding somebody and going, okay, you're this. You go to the person, each person gets triage. Each person gets, you're okay and you're walking wounded, or you're not okay and you're dead, and there's somewhere in between other categories of people. This is what your email is. If it's garbage email, you unsubscribe and you delete. If it's not garbage email, then you got to do something with it during your scheduled inbox time. And so for me, I got an email today that said, hey, we're confirming this. We want you to speak for an hour and do a webinar for an hour in September. I said, okay. So the email doesn't stay in my email box until I get around to writing the contract. Your client sends you an email and says, hey, can we lower the price of our listing? It's been on the market for 3 hours. We think that's too long. You all know who that seller is, right? So I'm not going to leave it in the email box to do. What I'm going to do is move it over to Todoist, or to whatever your action tool is. And Todoist is my absolute favorite for this. It's free and it plugs in and works for everything, including my Google Calendar. And you can notice my inbox today. I'm going to send a speaker agreement to New Hampshire for their 90-minute webinar in September. I've put in the description what needs to be done, the details, so I can write it up. And then it's my email box. And this particular task, they're expecting this by Monday. So I'm going to say Monday is the deadline. And now it's assigned to Monday. Oops, got to move that up. All right, so then, and of course, it stops working when I'm showing it. Let me stop sharing it and see if I can get that to work again. All right, there it is. Nope, it didn't stop working. I just forgot to hit save. Anyways, so then I'm going to go to Todoist. It's getting out of my email box. It's putting on that action list so that we go back through the rotation I showed you earlier with getting things done to say, okay, here's my action items, what needs to be done and what's a priority or not. And also, now that I've added Monday, it's on my calendar for Monday, as I showed you earlier in the calendar, and the top of that day to say this needs to be done. If I get it done, I hit the done button. I've got a whole bunch of categories here. So for example, I've always got ongoing projects. I need to update my community guide. I need to create an email opt-in to download community guide for my webpage. I need to update my resume. I need to get that FSBO packet together and update it. These are ongoing tasks. Notice there's no due dates. It's so I can get it out of my brain, because I'm not going to remember 2 weeks from now that I really want to get that thing done. But I've scheduled creative time in my time blocking to come back and go, this is what I need to work on now. Video content, here are the action items, and I've got notes in there and what I need to get done. I need to create a time management series. Videos are things that we're talking about today. These are all things that I can put in that box, that in to-do box, without a data sign. So I know that I can't do it with it today. It's not a priority today, but it does need to get done. It's in the projects list. All right. So that's how these systems work in concert. So with my inbox zero, I've got filters. In Outlook, and again, I'm going to be doing a series of videos to help you use Outlook, specifically Outlook Online and Google Online, to do all the same tasks. I know most people are using those two things, but I can create filters. So if I get an email from someone that says brokers open, that goes straight to trash. I don't look at it. It doesn't go to my inbox. I don't deal with it because I don't attend broker opens unless they're CVE. So I make an exemption. Actually, even most of those I unfortunately don't attend. But I do look at them to see what's going on and see if you have Chick-fil-A and you're near my house, I'll be there. But if it doesn't meet that criteria, I don't have time to do a lot of broker opens. And I certainly don't do open houses. I don't care about new listings because I don't actively list and sell. And so anything that has those key phrases gets pushed to trash, but I make exceptions that go unless it's coming from CVEVA or coldwellbankerelite.com. Does that make sense to everybody? So that I can just get rid of everybody else's garbage. I don't care about Long and Foster's broker opens or open houses. So those go to trash. So I have those filters that says, if this happens, then do this and put this in this box and move it over. And then we talked about Monday box, subfolders. You need to have subfolders. I triage stuff, and then your inbox is not supposed to be a task management system. It is overwhelming. There again, you can go look at the studies on your own about the mental impact of a full inbox and having all those unchecked emails or being, oh my God, copied and blind copied on 1,000 different emails from everybody all the time. You got to do something with those. You can't have that full inbox. It does have a psychological impact on you. And I have email templates to save time. How many of you feel like you send the same email over and over again? And all the brokers are going, yeah, we also have to say the same thing over and over again. We have to recruit the same policy over and over again. So some of you have, thanks for getting that information to me so quickly, because I know I've been asked this question X number of times, and so I have it. So you want to know how to log into something, or what do I do to reset a password? If I've answered the question more than twice, I just say the template. Now in your inbox and your email, go pull that up. So when you go to your online Outlook, you can create templates. So I'm going to go ahead and hit new message here and go down here. And under these three little dots, these little ellipses, there are my templates. And so I have templates, and we have circulated a lot of these throughout the company. If you're new to us, ask your broker. They have access to these. I've got a whole bunch of like the seller pre-meeting email stuff that we've created for you. And it's in the marketing, tools on Elite Scoop, by the way. So I'm just going to go ahead and go down here, and here's my seller template. I click on that, and now that email to set up the appointment with my seller is already in the email. Now I just got to say, put their name in there and put a time and a date. And I have one that's for virtual meetings and one that's for real life meetings. I got the same thing for recruiting meetings, because I don't want to have to hunt down all the stuff. And it's easier for me to answer emails when I have created this template. I don't stress about sitting down going, God, I write a novel to answer this question about this contract issue. I can share a link to the video I've done, or I can share information through the templates. If you're a Gmail user, I'm going to go and share my Gmail. If you're a Gmail user, you're going to have these same little three dots, those little ellipses, and click on that and go to templates and insert a template. Oh, I'm in the wrong account. I'm not in my real estate agent account. Anyway, so I've got the template saved in there, and that's the same place. It's just those three ellipses, templates, and then there would be a list of the templates I had here, like I showed you earlier, and I can just insert that in the email. All right. So templates are going to save you. And if you don't want to use any of those template tools, then using something like Evernote where you can just save them. And I'll show you that now too, while we're here. So Evernote which is where I keep all my notes on every class I've ever taken, notes on stuff that's going on in the office and all the rest. I love, love, love the new updated Evernote. I know it's a little bit older, and everybody's like, Evernote's been around for 12 years. It's still killing it for me. I tried other things that came right back to it. So I have list of COVID emails. So if we have an exposure or something, I have that email saved here, and I can just copy and paste it or send it from here as an email. So I've got a whole library of those things that I have to send all the time saved for expediency. I can just edit them to be unique to that situation or person, but the core things that I need to get to people are there. And you're going to find that you have this library all the time. Boomerang app is the next one. This is free. It plugs into both Outlook and to Outlook and to Gmail. Here's what I like about Boomerang. And because of time, I'm not going to do a whole demo on this, but I am going to do videos for you. I've got a whole list of them I'm putting together. Boomerang it's free. It works in Outlook and Gmail, and it has a couple little features that I like. One of the biggest ones is that, let's say I'm emailing Dawn on something, and I need to know, I'm expecting an answer back from her, right, on whatever this task is or whatever the email I'm sending. What a lot of people do is they send the email, and then they just leave the original email in their inbox, and they go back and hopefully they'll be triggered to follow up, I guess, is what most people think. But really what happens is you've got so many damn emails in your inbox, you get lost in there, right? You're not going to remember to follow up. Boomerang will let me go, I'm going to send this email, and when this person responds, maybe it is better that I just show it because it's magic. So when I go into, I'm going to use my Gmail for this exercise. I'm going to compose. I'm going to send this to Jay. And when I go to send it, I'm going to have it remind me to have it in whatever 2 days. Let's say that I want to know, I'm going to give him 4 hours to respond to me. And if he doesn't respond in 4 hours, I want to know about it. No, in 2 days, if there's no reply, or if he doesn't open it, I want that email to come back and say, by the way, Jay hasn't responded to this email. So for those of you who are just keeping emails in your inbox and trying to use that as, instead of a triage list, you're using it as a to-do list, this will be sure to remind you of that thing that you needed follow up on, instead of you having to sit there in your inbox and figure it all out. I can also schedule stuff later, which you can already do in the Gmail there. Oops. I can schedule that email to go out later. This is something that, with a lot of encouragement, primarily from Angel, who was yelling at me, to start using, so that I'm not sending emails at 10:30, 11 o'clock on a Saturday night and then expecting you guys to respond, or you guys are expecting that I expect a response, which isn't the case. I can now schedule it and go, this will go out on Monday morning, or this will go out on Tuesday when it's appropriate. Or let's say that I've got, let's say that the commercial group has baseball stadium on Thursday night, and I need to remind Natalie to order food for it. I can, instead of sending that email right now while it's on my mind on Thursday, a week beforehand, where the chance that both she and I forget it, I can schedule this to go out Wednesday morning so that it's off my mind. The task is done. She'll get it on Wednesday when I'd like for her to see it, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Okay. The one other thing that Boomerang does that I don't necessarily like is it also tells you the tone of your email. Are you being too harsh or too mean or too nice? I guess you can be too nice. I think you can be too nice. It'll tell you, so you can start to correct and change a little bit of the tone of your email if you're trying to send it out. The next thing, and this is just for agents and for marketing, is MailChimp. I think all of you know MailChimp is a great email client for marketing. One of the things you may not know is there are real estate templates for your newsletters. And the other thing is, if you are blogging and putting content on your websites, MailChimp will pull your blog content for the articles you wrote throughout the month and send it out the newsletter automatically for you once a month. So you're not having to duplicate the work and formulate an email newsletter. You can set up a template, it'll pull from your website and send that out for you. A couple more productivity apps. Todoist I introduced you to earlier. I like Todoist because it works just with everything. It ties into Gmail, it ties into Outlook, it ties into almost every platform you're going to use out there. It is, to me, it is the best one out there for that reason. Plus, it's very easy to make modular, so I can segment all my stuff into different groups or projects. It's good for short-term or long-term projects, and it has lots of, again, APIs or plugins where you can use it with all the other tools and services you may use out there. So to-do list is the backbone of all this other stuff we're talking about. When I am getting stuff out of my email box, when I am putting on projects I need to do, when I'm creating tasks that need to be done and projects, to-do-list is my tool of choice. The other resource for you is your agent website. And so I'm going to show you this stuff. Now, look, this is the point, actually way back 16 slides ago, is the point where a lot of agents stop breathing. This is not stuff I spent a weekend and going, well, shit, I'm just going to get organized. Let me put all these tools together. This has been a decade of putting all this stuff in place to make sure that it's there where I can use it and what I need from it. And it's all things that you can design and go, you know, I don't really need that, but I do need this. All right, so on my website, I have a community guide, and I've showed you this in a prior class we did on being a community resource. This was birthed really out of just a little bit of laziness, to be honest with you. But how many of you as real estate agents, your clients will ask you, where is a good restaurant to go to? Or not even clients, but friends, because you are in the business. They'll ask you for restaurant recommendations, or they'll ask you for a phone number to something downtown, or to the, you know, to the county for planning commission. So I have both service providers and a community guide, and I've also used Google Maps. And again, I sent that video out last month. You can go reflect on that if you'd like. And I use Google Maps. And so if somebody asks for a restaurant, instead of me going, oh, well, you know what? Soup and Taco is great. I'm going to have a link here on my website that's easy to follow and remember, that I can send to anybody. So if they're on Facebook going, does anybody recommend a good, we want a new restaurant this weekend, what do you recommend? I've already got this stuff saved. I can pull it up on my phone when I'm walking around the store, or at my home on the desktop. I can go grab the link and share it. And I've already put in here the restaurants, parks, entertainment for the area, historical sites around Fredericksburg, hiking trails around town, biking trails. This stuff's on there. So if anybody asks about lifestyle stuff, my website holds this. And the benefit is not only am I answering their question, that I'm pulling it into the website, giving them something to share with other people in the future, and it's all hosted right there. And when I want to change something, I just go change on a website, and now I have it for the future. And again, service providers, if they're asking for somebody, for a landscaper or plumber or contractor or a handyman or gardener or whatever, dog groomers, that's right there in the service guide, branded for me with all the information they could go grab. And then the community guide with area information, real estate marketing statistics in case they're interested, other resources and service providers for them. So all of this is on one site. And now this not only becomes a way to help you, so you don't have to go waste time constructing that answer every time somebody asks. You can answer it much more quickly and be there before any other agent or any other person in town gives the recommendation for entertainment or hiking trails or whatever. This is already right there. It's easy to share and give quickly, and it pushes them back to your website and your marketing. This is also going to, your website's all going to have a place for them to go enter their information if they want to sign up for your newsletter, or go right into your CMA or CRM rather. Your website is what we call a content management system. And so I've got different pages built out in there that are not public. So when somebody says, do you have information about 55 and older? I indeed have a page that shows all the 55 and older communities, things they need to know about buying 55 and older houses, and a whole bunch of other stuff that isn't public there, because I want to be able to respond and ask a question. But that's the best place to hold that content. If somebody wants to know my recommendation for a smart security system, I can go pull that blog post I did it on the website and send a quick link and not have to go through a whole bunch of stuff. So that's what your CMS, your content management system, is your website. And then of course the CRM. I heard all of you collectively groan. I know, because I hear from agents all the time going, we are so sick of people telling us to use a CRM. Look, we're telling you to use CRM because it works, because when we look at high performing agents, they're using CRMs. They're using a client relationship management system. We give you a Zap, Um, and you can go get whatever works for you, but everybody asks, what's the best one? Because you're so busy planning, you're not busy executing. The best one is going to be whatever you actually use. Now, I'm not saying spreadsheets or your contact list or your Google contacts. That's not the same thing. Your CRM is a database for clients, past, present, and future. It is where you're going to host some of this marketing information. It's where it's going to prompt you to do follow-up. So that focus time, whereas I had recruiting in my time blocked area, you're going to have client engagement or marketing. The CRM is going to say, you've got 16 people who are having birthdays in the next 2 weeks, and you're going to be able to go send them handwritten notes or emails or text or whatever you need to do through the CRM to keep you in touch with these folks. The amount of lost business by not being organized and managing your time is astronomical. NAR says that 89% of consumers at the end of the transaction said they definitely or probably would work with the same real estate agent again. Only 12% do. That's not their fault. That's ours as agents, because we're not using a CRM to keep in touch with them in a meaningful way, to be there when they're thinking about buying and selling, and also when they're thinking about reselling or buying again. They shouldn't track us down. We should be putting information in front of them. Every closed deal should be yielding 3 more deals, including one from them again 3 to 4 years later. And if you're not doing this, if you're not managing this, you are letting other agents take your business in the future, because consumers are fickle and they will go with whoever's in front of them at the moment. And some of you are going, I have really good retention. My past clients come back all the time. 1 out of 6 of your past clients come back to you is not great retention. 5 out of 6 is great retention. You do that by being meaningful and engaging them. And we'll do other classes of CRMs. We've done some in the past. We're going to do some more in the future. Jay does this a lot with Zap. One of my things with this, and if you look, Dawn put a comment in the section that she sees this every day with renters who do buy, but they don't use a tenant rep. They're just whatever agent's in front of them at the time, because the tenant rep didn't stay in touch. Anyway, then the CRM, I know a lot of people are like, well, we're going to remind about our birthdays on Facebook. Like, I don't care about that. I want to see an anniversary. Like when Gary adopts a puppy, I'm going to put that in my CRM and be triggered a year from now to go ask him how his puppy is. When their kids graduated high school and you make a note that they graduated high school and they got accepted to ODU or wherever they're going, I got a note in here to remind me a year from now to send a quick note saying, hey, I can't believe it's been a year since little Johnny graduated. Actually, I can't believe Johnny graduated because he's stupid, but whatever. And, I hope he's doing well at whatever college he went to. So those type of meaningful follow-ups can be triggered through the CRM. And if you've time blocked your time for 1 or 2 hours a week, that means you're putting stuff in the funnel. What happens to a lot of you is you're getting busy right now, or you've been busy for months or this year or whatever it is, and you are not doing these little things. And a year from now, when the market normalizes and it's not nearly as crazy as it is, you're looking around going, man, I need to do some business. Business isn't there if you're not working on it a year prior. And that requires focus time. All the things that we've led up to today is to give you more structure so that you are ensuring that you are holding yourself accountable for doing the focus time and giving you the tools to make sure that's meaningful. Using mobile apps, and I'm just using here as an example for context, the Scanner Pro is one of my favorite, and they're scannable from Evernote and from other ones. Because again, being paperless is also very efficient. If I have an addendum on my desk that somebody dropped off, I don't know what else how you would get that paper mailed it to you, I guess. When I'm doing the scanner app, I like having an app that changes it and cleans it up a little bit. So notice on the scanner app, I'm using Scanner Pro. In the bottom right hand corner, there's this blue discoloration on that scan. Everybody see that? Right? Because that piece of paper got wet, because that's what happens with paper. So it got wet, it got discolored. On Scanner Pro, I can hit a button, it'll clean up all the discoloration. If you go to your listing, I go to Nancy's house to take her listing. I ask her, do you have blueprints for the house? She rolls out like this old plat that's like this big, that's been rolled up and it's all brown and discolored out of her closet somewhere. I can roll that out on the floor on a table, take the scanner app and scan it. It's going to get rid of all the discoloration. It's make it nice and pretty, and it's going to make it 8 and 11 PDF, so I can print it or add it to documents, and it does all that stuff magically. No going to Kinko's making copies, no just forgoing it because it's too much work. If there's a document that needs to be signed, somebody put it on my desk or print it out, or I don't know, does people still fax? Even FAR is getting rid of their fax machine, guys. This is, this is monumental. I mean, this is huge. Anyways, but if you have that piece of paper, you can scan it and now make it a PDF that you can put into DocuSign to get signatures or whatever you need to do. Scan it into your transaction, whatever you need to do to make sure that you're paperless. It does it for lots of different things on there. I'm just using contracts as an example. The next one is passwords. How many of you have gone to do something, can't remember the password, and go, I ain't got time for this? Or like you just don't remember what that password is, and now you really need something, and it's super frustrating, and now you got to go through the whole process of forgotten password and resetting passwords. LastPass is my app of choice. There are others, Dashlane and 1Password and some others. LastPass is probably one of the most popular. It's very affordable. Actually, there's a free version, and then if you want it to cross-platform and everything, it's there. I've got everything in there, every website, every credit card, all of that is synced across all the devices, and it uses my face to turn it on the computer, my fingerprint on my MacBook, or a master password that's hard to remember or steal to get in the account. But now I'm just logging right in, because right now, today, everybody wants you to have more complex email passwords or account passwords that it's impossible to remember them all for all the different things. Passwords should not be something stopping you from progressing and doing what you need to do. So LastPass allows you to save all these things in one place where you can get them whenever you need them. Trello is a good project management system. So if you have a marketing campaign you're doing, or you're building out your CRM and you have stuff you need to do, Trello allows you, and again, we have video tutorials on these you can do outside of class. Trello allows you to keep track of all these different tasks and share them with people and assign them with people. So you can build templates. So I have a template for my sellers because there's some things they need to do: get their house cleaned up, get ready for showings, make sure that they get, keys turned over, whatever it is. Trello allows me to assign or add them to it, and it's all free, and it's very, very easy to use. It's a good follow-up or action list where you can assign things. Evernote, as I mentioned earlier, is my note-taking app. Even if I've got this handy dandy fluid stance whiteboard that sits on my desk, so while I'm taking classes or a meeting, I can quickly take notes. As soon as that meeting or class is over, I immediately put them in Evernote if there's something I need to remember. I still do use paper tablets throughout the day when I'm, just here to write down quick notes. And at the end of the day, before I go to bed, when I'm bringing my office back to neutral, that Muslim plate, I'm going to go ahead and type in all the notes of what I have been writing down today into Evernote to make sure they're there, and I can edit them. Again, templates for emails, the apps we're talking about in class today, the projects you want to do. Every listing and every buyer has a note in Evernote where I keep track of when I made phone calls and emails and text and all the rest of that for them. And you can also add PDFs and photos and a lot of other materials to it. The last one in this category is ClickUp, and I will say this is brand new to me. I've only been using it for 2 weeks, but it's free, and it's done a great job. So for those of you who are super nerdy and really, really into this, there's something called Notion. .so out there. Notion is great, but it's like building a web page. You got to put a lot of time into it, and it can be challenging if you're not, really, really into this. If you want something easy, ClickUp takes almost all these apps we've talked about today, your email, your calendar, to-do list, and all the rest, and puts it in one place where you can create projects for each one of your transactions, your daily tasks, your life. Everything can go in one place. Again, it's free unless you want to use it for a team. So those of you on a team may want to consider this. It's a couple bucks a person per month if you're doing this teams, but otherwise free. It'll take everything, again, from all the other common products you're using. I happen to like each product doing its own special thing. ClickUp is convincing me otherwise. This is the first all-in-one database I've considered using. It also, they have gone to great lengths to make it easy and give you tutorials about every single step. They have a huge learning library for whatever you're trying to do in there. To manage your stuff. So if you're looking for, this is kind of level 2 stuff, like I would start with baby steps and stuff we talked about today, but this, especially since it's free and it's really it's kind of an attractive interface, maybe something worth looking at, and that's what you base your productivity systems on. And also, I said the last thing, but I forgot. I added something just for CDE. I did a video on this before, and again, you can find that on Elite Scoop. Zip Forms actually has transaction workflows, templates, checklists, and clause editors. You can do every transaction in Zip Forms. You can save the special addendum language that you like when you've just fine-tuned that home inspection language just right. You can save that in your own clause editor. Don't forget that I've created a lot of language for you for special needs in the clause editor on Zip Forms. So if you do have a special situation and you're like, how do I write this? I've already created something for you to use as a template in there. We have templates and you can make your own. So if you like your transaction set up a certain way with certain addendums added, or maybe you don't like what we've set up for you, you can create your own templates and then get into transaction workflow. You can go in and say, this contract's ratified and it's got a 7-day contingency for home inspection and 10 days for radon or whatever, and it'll create a dynamic checklist that adds to your Outlook or Google Calendar to keep all your transactions on task in there. It's actually pretty fantastic. As much as I tend to be a little snobby about, having special products for everything, I still use this for my transactions in Zip Forms. It's been around for about 1.5 years now. Again, I've done a video tutorial on how to set up and use those checklists and that transaction workflow in there. It includes DocuSign and some other little special things you can use. It's in your system. And this is also a good little lesson to learn. When you're being productive and efficient, it means actually scheduling time to learn how to use 100% of the products that you have available to you. I feel like every class that we teach here at CBE, when we sit down with an agent to talk about a product, I show them something that's been around in that product for 5 years that's useful, and they're like, we didn't know that was there. You guys are not going to break the internet. Click all the buttons. Look at the webinar videos. Play with it to see if it's going to work for you. It'll save you so much time and headache. You'll never forget another well and septic order, another home inspection. All the deadlines are added for you. I've even created a bunch of checklist templates for you that all you have to do is apply them. You just have to use them. And then you can edit them if you want to your own use. Lastly, for marketing, the last category here is marketing. Canva is really good. If you're not a Canva fan, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I feel like we spent a lot of time trying to convince you to use the best tools. I just want you to go play with it and tell me if you think it's the best tool. Canva has templates. If you need an Instagram post or a Facebook post or header, or you're cleaning up your YouTube page, it's all right there. If you do have your own brand, you have your own logo and colors and favorite fonts, you have to pay for that feature, but it's super cheap. Canva should be your go-to for asset creation. That brand kit will save your favorite color, fonts, logos, headshots, and all that to make it easy to create flyers and brochures. You can do your listing marketing brochures and flyers and everything right in here. And then, of course, the social aspect have predetermined templates so you don't get stuff looking all wonky and crazy. And you can schedule those social media posts right from Canva once you've created them. And sit down and say, if you've time blocked Sunday afternoon to do the next week's worth of social media marketing assets, you could create them all in Canva and then schedule them in Canva so they go out throughout the week all in one place. Hootsuite is another good place to monitor and manage social media. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here, just to say, go look at it. It's, again, free. You can set up your accounts on there so you can see who's talking around town and what they're talking about. So if you want to put Colonial Beach as a search in there, even people you're not following, if they mention Colonial Beach, it'll be in that platform. You can schedule your posts and showings for the future, look at analytics. It's pretty nice. And then, of course, Cloud CMA. Angel has given you guys a heck of a gift here with templates already ready for your presentation. Like, getting a CMA together means pulling 3 comps, hitting 4 buttons, and boom, you've got this really, really nice looking listing presentation or buyer presentation. I think that's really underutilized for buyer presentations, and it shouldn't be. There's some great stuff in there, and you're done. If you can pull comps out of MLS, and even if you can't, you can go to Cloud CMA and say, you pull the comps for me. What do you think matches? You can do your adjustments and all the rest, but the template is there. ready to go and branded for you. All you have to do is present it as all in one, and it's already created. If you don't like it or you want to customize it, you can do that too. You can add your own PDFs, you can add your own unique content, create your own template. I remember going to a listing appointment. I was gonna say last year, but I keep forgetting. COVID was either non-existent and like I just lost a year, or it was 15 years long. It depends on the context. But prior to COVID, I was going to a listing appointment, realized I didn't like one of the adjustments I used. I was at a stoplight outside of the subdivision making edits to it. I don't suggest that because it's driving and using your device, but I did it. And I had a great presentation ready that I could tweak walking in the door. Couple of things as we wrap up with some book recommendations. Atomic Habits are amazing. If you're right now looking at this and going, man, that's just too much crap, it'll take me forever to get this done, or I don't even care anymore. One thing take away from this class is go read Atomic Habits. It by James Clear. It's a fantastic book. It's a highly practical, very easy to read book, but it talks about all these benefits that I'm rambling through in the 90 minutes you gave me. It is talking about all these remarkable changes people have had in their life by making very small habit changes and becoming more disciplined and more productive. And then of course, getting things done. Again, he's fairly analog. So if you aren't early into the gadgets and devices and things, this is also a good book to spend a weekend reading, to help you kind of get the concepts down to just manage your life better. He does mention one or two little apps throughout there, but that's not his primary focus. His is just technique and things. This is his, I don't know, probably fifth version of it. He's been writing it forever. And lastly, breathe. Take a moment. A lot of stuff here. We're recording this so you can watch it later. There was a lot of new tools. Some of you, there's some brand new concepts. Some of you, those were reminders of things that you knew you should have been doing and you haven't been doing. My job here in this 90 minutes was to give you some ideas. It wasn't to hold your hand and walk you through that. For the agents, I strongly suggest you schedule time with your brokers and go, I need more of that in my life. And what can you do to hold me accountable for it and to disciple me through it and to get some of these things done, especially the time blocking stuff? Which of these tools is best suited for me? Because they're going to know you better than I do. I've shown you kind of my journey and where I've ended up after a decade of working on this stuff and really highly focused over the past 2 years. These tools and techniques are not things you're going to master in a weekend, and it should be something you find like an accountability partner, your broker generally, to say, what should I be implementing? Which tools am I missing? Does this fit my personality? And walk me through the zip forms, checklists and templates, and let's make sure I'm getting my business squared away so I don't miss another EMD deposit or miss a phone call or miss a client opportunity because I'm not using the right systems and tools. Not being organized costs you money and years off your life. The stress is, I'm telling you, someone who's high strung, who suffers from high blood pressure, who takes everything very seriously. These things have helped me get a much better work-life balance, be more productive, and get a lot more done. So I hope that you've taken away a few ideas here, not got totally stressed out about not being stressed out, and that you spend a couple hours, even just take a couple hours on a Sunday afternoon to go, which one of those tools most is needed in my career, in my life, and which one can I do? Which one of these concepts work best for me? I hope you got something out of our time. I have a couple minutes left. If you have questions or follow up, I'll go ahead and open up the microphone now.